Over 100 years ago, industrial agriculture came to the Hawaiian Islands. As large-scale farming began, the landscape was transformed. Land was cleared of native species, stripped bare, soil was displaced and piled on the edges of gulches or pushed directly into them. Water was diverted from streams to cement channels, moving this valuable resource from one side of the island to the other. Hawaii's landscape was vastly changed. Today, many of these areas have been left fallow for alien and invasive species to colonize, virtually locking the native species out of this landscape. There is a movement to restore our watersheds and ensure an intact Hawaiian dryland forest and other native ecosystems are being restored along our waterways to protect all of the environments that our watersheds connect.
Many organizations are working across Hawaii to address this urgent need. The Coral Reef Alliance is dedicated to restoring and protecting the natural resources of all the islands and are currently focused on West Maui. We are working to replenish the degraded landscape in the Wahikuli watershed with native plants, which have been deteriorating since the plantation days. These dirt roads have their own attraction, providing access to the natural beauty of West Maui Mountains and down into the Wahikuli Gulch. This area is filled with stunning views and groves of native Hawaiian trees and plants. Unfortunately, the same dirt roads that provide access to these areas are ultimately compromising both the Wahikuli Ahupua'a and the surrounding nearshore coral reefs. The dirt on these roads are so compacted, it prohibits the root systems of native plants to become established. These compacted roads allow stormwater to gain speed and momentum, leading to erosion and loose dirt or sediment moving across the landscape into our streams and ultimately creating brown water events on our coral reefs. Unfortunately, the continued use of roads parallel to stream gulches furthers the erosion, while decommissioning them by planting native species helps restore the watershed, which protects our native habitat and connects our broken ahupua'a. Coral Reef Alliance has identified these degraded roads along streams as prime areas for native plant restoration. So we are creating corridors of native plants on dirt roads that would otherwise be degrading and causing damage to the ahupua'a. This is why you may see fences with native plant restoration located in the West Maui Mountains. By planting a variety of native grasses, trees, and shrubs, we hope to first provide space and opportunity for the native Hawaiian ecosystem to reestablish itself in West Maui, and second, to stop erosion on these roads to preserve this ecosystem for generations to come. While there are hundreds of miles of dirt roads in these abandoned farms, we're only focused on decommissioning those that run parallel to the stream gulch, which is only a handful of miles. We are monitoring the progress of our restoration project with the use of sediment posts, weather stations, and other methods. Sediment posts are basically just 2-foot-long PVC pipes that we stick into the ground. These posts are placed behind native plants that we have planted, and they measure how much sediment the native plants are trapping. Some have even proven to trap about a ton of sediment per year. When functioning correctly, the native plants will use their root system to trap sediment behind them, creating softer and less compacted soil. When the native plants seed, the seeds will fall in this softer soil and further establish themselves in this corridor. Eventually, the compacted dirt will disappear and native plants will be flourishing in the Wahikuli watershed once more. When the rows of native plants are interrupted, we call this a breach in the row. This damages the row's ability to trap sediment behind them because the water and the sediment will flow through this breach rather than stay behind the row to provide a place for more plants to grow. At Coral, we want to work with the local community to make sure that these native plant rows are as effective as possible to solve the problems that the degraded watershed causes for the native and natural wildlife that call Maui their home. We admire and appreciate the natural beauty that the Wahikuli watershed holds, and together, the Maui community can work to preserve and protect these precious resources. If you are interested in helping restore the native Hawaiian forests, please contact Coral to join in one of our volunteer days or to grow native plants for our restoration work at your own home. To find out more about these projects, please visit our website and contact Larissa to sign up to become a volunteer. Mahalo.
Coral Reef Alliance extends a special thanks to all of our volunteers, partners, and funders. Mahalo nui loa.